It's time we talk about a very important stat in the game, and that is potency. As you can see, I have valued potency much higher than the other secondary attributes because I believe it is a very important tool for the low resonance player. There's a lot of confusion in the game as what does potency actually mean and what does it do, what does it cover, because there are so many terms in the game like harmful effect, continual damage effect, loss of control, total loss of control. There are so many words thrown at us, and it can get quite confusing as to what is covered by potency and what does it actually do. So in this video I'll cover 4 topics that everyone wants to know about potency. The first part will be what is potency and what are the different effects that is covered by potency. Then I'll speak about how it works, as in how is the duration of harmful effects increased or decreased. Third thing I will talk about is scaling, and the last thing that I'll talk about is the effect of potency on damage. Basically, whether potency is going to increase the damage or not, or whether potency is increasing damage or how it is increasing damage. As usual, everything is going to be timestamped in this video. Before we start talking about potency, a quick update on the Feasting Barons pack set. Earlier, the text of the 2-piece set of Feasting Barons pack was increases the duration of your abilities that causes loss of control by 30%. And now it has changed to increases the duration of your harmful effects by 30%. So does this mean they have changed the effect of Feasting Barons? No. Although I have not seen it written in the English patch notes that has come out, I have seen people post on Reddit that in the Chinese patch note this has been clarified, and it is said that it has always been the harmful effects, and now the words reflect the actual property of the set. The set was always working like this. So already we have 2 new words, harmful effects and loss of control and everything. So we'll understand everything in this video. So let's get into it. First, if we see the text of the potency, it says compared against enemy resistance to modify the duration of all harmful effects. Right? So this is what potency does. It compares your against enemy resistance. So you have potency and resistance as well. So naturally resistance is going to be something that is going to decrease the harmful effects, and potency is something that is going to increase the duration of all harmful effects. Now there is a simple way to explain what does harmful effect means, or basically what does potency mean. So harmful effect is like a blanket stat, and it is like the base set or the master set, and all other effects are the subset of harmful effects. To simply show what does I mean is that loss of control effect also falls under, is a subset of harmful effects, and similarly there is one more word called total loss of control effects. So these 2 are also falling under harmful effects. This is the best way to understand it. Harmful effect is the base set, it covers everything. Wherever in the game if you see harmful effect, means it is also covering loss of control and total loss of control. Wherever in the game you see loss of control effect, means it is also covering total loss of control effect, and total loss of control effect is the smallest subset. Now to give example of each type, we can say these are the harmful effects: bleed, burn, poison, bile and agony. These are all harmful effects, and these are all affected by potency. Potency is going to increase the duration of your harmful effect, means it is going to increase the duration of bleed, burn, poison, bile, agony. Loss of control effects, the examples are immobilize, decreasing movement speed. These are loss of control effects. I have not tested it myself, but I think decreasing attack speed is not a loss of control effect, but I am not 100% sure on that. I have not tested it, but these 2 are the perfect example of loss of control effects. Now total loss of control effect is basically stun and fear, which everyone knows. There's blind also covered here, like from Cursling you can blind your enemies, and that is also total loss of control. Even Crusaders have a lot of skills, like Conjuration of Light has the blind and the blind thing going on, and also some other stats have some blind thing in Crusader going on. I believe those are all total loss of control effects, because I have seen enemy turn into like the chip proc in those effects. So fear, stun and blind are total loss of control effects. Here I would like to point out something very important. So if we go in the game and we see there is one more word called continual damage effect. For example, in Pain Clasp, where is Pain Clasp? Yeah, so in Pain Clasp it says increases damage dealt by 8% to enemies suffering from a continuous damage effect. So I don't want you to use continual damage effect synonymously with harmful effect. What I mean is, like where I have written bleed, burn, poison, bile, agony, so these are all continual damage effects. And in this way, this Pain Clasp is only working on those things. It is not working on loss of control and total loss of control. So this is one exception, you can say, or a clarification that I wanted to say, that continual damage effect and harmful effect are not synonymous. To put it simply, this is a combined name for bleed, burn, bile, poison, and all those type of debuffs. So you can see the Pain Clasp and Banquet of Ice are only affected by this continual damage effect. Now moving ahead, so now if we want to explain the duration of harmful effects, how are we going to project how is potency going to influence the duration of harmful effect? So for example, your base duration of any harmful effect is 3 seconds. It is just an example and the values are approximate. Now in case your potency is higher than enemy's resistance, your duration of harmful effect increases. So from 3 seconds it can go up to 4 seconds because 30% increase is normal, right? So and in case their resistance is higher, this is where resistance come in, where if they have higher resistance, the duration of harmful effects is reduced. So 3 seconds can become 2 seconds. So in this way, potency, the duration of harmful effect is increased or decreased by potency. Now here I would like to mention about feasting barons. If we once again see the feasting baron set, it says increases duration of all harmful effect by 30%. So in our example, in case 2 where potency is higher, it was 3 second the base value and it has already become 4 second, and now if you also use feasting barons, this duration can again increase by say 1 second these are all approximate figures. So if you have feasting barons as well, so you can see the duration has increased even further. And if the enemy has higher resistance, then your feasting barons is going to help you bring your duration of harmful effect back to base value. So in other words, in my opinion, I see feasting barons as synonymous to potency, because feasting barons is also covering all harmful effect, potency is also covering all harmful effect, as you have seen already in the text of the tooltips. So if your potency is lower, feasting barons is going to help you get the full value of your harmful effects, and if your potency is already high, it is even going to further increase the duration of harmful effects on your enemies. So this is all about duration of harmful effects. Now we go to the third part of the video, and that is scaling. So this is where it gets weird and very confusing. Right off the bat, I want to say first is that your in PvP and PvE potency works differently. In PvE, basically player versus environment, it is scaling. See, I have potency of 867 higher, so my duration is increased by 29% against mobs and elites. Although these things, although the total loss of control and loss of control do not work on bosses, but the harmful effects like bleed, burn, these are going to affect the bosses as well. So these are increased by 29%, and if my potency is lower, like say it is only 300%, this can go up to like 10%. So that is the PvE side. In PvP side, that now the confusing part begins. So in PvP, say my potency is 867 higher than the enemy's potency, say for example. So it says when playing against players, you gain up to 50% increased control duration. It says up to, it does not, which is a weird text. I say it is weird because if you see resistance, and if you have lower resistance than your enemy, the increase of harmful effect on you is exactly 35%. Like in resistance, it says your resistance is 158 lower than the potency of monsters. In PvP, it becomes players, right? So 158 lower than the player. If my potency is if my resistance is lower than the enemy's potency against player, duration are increased by 35%. It is saying flat 35%. It is not saying up to or something like that. Here you can see that there is an anomaly. Like, and if your resistance is lower, means the enemy has higher potency, but it says in the tooltip that potency can scale up to 50%, but in resistance it says that you can only take up to 35% increased durations, and it is fixed. Now let me show you different values. Now it is 158 lower, right, and this is 867. Now if I change it to hell 1, so now my potency and resistance both will be very high. So let's see what it says now. Hell 1 potency is still 2499 higher, and still it says 50% up to. From hell 1 it is saying 50%, and in resistance it says 35%. So these values do not change in the tooltip. So in my opinion there is no scaling, there is a fixed value. If we see that, and I think instead of thinking of taking 50% up to 50%, I think we should go with the tooltip of resistance till we get a clarification from developers. I believe that it is always flat 35%. Against players, duration are reduced by 35%. So if this is the case where resistance is higher, so if you have higher potency than enemy, I think what it does, it is going to increase the duration by 35%. 3 seconds, 35% is 1 second, right? I'm saying just approximately, not going to decimal places. So 1 second increase if you have higher potency, and it does not matter in my opinion. Resistance, as you can see, it is not scaling. So even if say I have 3000 potency and the enemy has 2999 resistance, I will still get full 35% additional value. And where I have 3000 potency and enemy has say 3060, just 3 higher resistance, then they will take 35% reduced duration, because as per the resistance tooltip, because it is fixed. So that is my conclusion on scaling. It does not matter if there is higher gap between potency and resistance. I do not believe that the harmful effect duration increases. I think it is fixed. Secondly, I would want Blizzard to change this tooltip to actually reflect what it actually means. Now we come to the final part, that is damage. How is potency? Because potency increases the harmful effect duration, and harmful effect is like bleed, burn. So if my duration increases, does the damage from bleed and burn increases? So if we go to the skill tooltip, it depends on the language in my opinion. If we go to Rain of Vengeance, it says Rain of Vengeance now deploys flaming arrow, okay, burning all enemies for 37,000 damage for 4 seconds. So in this particular way of writing, it says the damage number is fixed and it is happening for 4 seconds. So if your potency is higher, so the burn effect will continue, but the damage effect will remain at 37,552, because in this the damage amount has been capped. That damage will happen in 4 seconds. However, if you have potency, the burn effect will continue to last on the enemy. Yes, it can happen. In many instances, it can happen, and the enemy is burning for an extra second, but there is no damage in that second. And how is that part helpful? Because that part is helpful for the Banquet of Ice set, because in Banquet of Ice the enemy needs to burn. That is the criteria. And even for Pain Clasp, they do not need to take damage from burn, right? So in this way, these burn effect increased duration can help in the Banquet of Ice and Pain Clasp, things like that. The second type of text, I do not have it in Demon Hunter. I've tried to find it, I did not see it. But the text of the skill says, it will say, for example, 10,000 for each tick, or 10,000 damage per second. So per second it is doing 10,000 damage. So in that case, if there is an extra second of burn, then ideally I think that 10,000, like it was for 3 seconds, so 30,000, and if it is going for 4 seconds, it should be 40,000 ideally. However, if it is not happening, if in your class or whatever case, let me know down in the comments below. I believe it should ideally be happening, and if it is not happening, I think we should ask Blizzard why it is not happening. I think if the language is like per second damage, then if the per second increases, basically the number of second increases, the damage should also increase. So that is what concludes everything about potency. If you have any question, please mention in comments below. If you have any corrections to make for this video, please, most welcomed in the comment section. And finally, if you have something more to say, like I have missed out something, then do let me know, because I know a lot of players are playing this game from the start, and there are so many things that are not clear in this game, and you find it out by testing, and there may be some inconsistencies also. That's why I showed you that chart at the start, where I tried to make a chart where it is consistent for most of the things in the game. However, I did make an exception in that chart of the the continual damage effect. So things like that, if you find any exception, let me know down in the comments below. I think it will help everyone. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.